Hot Plate, and today we are going to be making one of my favorite ways to enjoy tofu, maple miso glazed. It's so simple and it comes together in under half an hour, which is always a good thing when you're busy during the week. So we're going to dive right into our dish by making our miso maple marinade. We're going to start by adding in our maple syrup. Now remember, you can get all the measurements on our website, thehotplate.com, or if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments under the video. Next up, our white miso. And then we've got our soy sauce. We're using reduced sodium. We want to control the amount of salt that goes into this dish. I like a little bit of heat, so we're going to be putting in some sambal oelek, which is a chili sauce. I'm using 1 teaspoon here, so you can either choose to use a little bit less, a little bit more, or none at all. Totally up to you. So we'll add that into our mixture. And finally, we'll be adding in 2 tablespoons of our rice wine vinegar. Make sure to use unseasoned because, again, we're doing all the seasoning right here. We're going to start mixing it together, and I'm going to show you what that looks like when we come back. All right, so our marinade has totally come together now. And you can see it's gotten a little bit thicker from that miso. And we are going to be using half of it right now and then saving half for towards the end. So make sure you stay tuned for that. All right. So now we're going to set that aside and we're going to move over to our tofu. Now you want to be using a firm to an extra firm tofu and 1 brick, which is 250 grams. We're going to be making slices, and they should be about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. And we're just going to keep moving down the block, making even slices just like that. All right, so we are almost ready to start into our oven. Make sure at this point that you've started to preheat your broiler to high heat and that you have a rack in the oven placed about 2 to 3 inches away from your broiler. We've got a baking sheet here lined with parchment paper. You could also use tin foil. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to brush it with canola oil. Now, if you are looking to cut even a little bit more fat and calories out of your life, then go ahead and use a cooking spray for this as well. We just happen to have this on hand today, so this is why we're using it. Perfect. So now on goes our tofu pieces. Just put them out evenly on the cookie sheet. Perfect. And then we're going to grab our miso, and we're going to spoon a little bit of our miso onto each one of these gorgeous pieces of tofu. Now, make sure that you do reserve half for later, because we're going to show you a tip to make sure that we get all sides of this nice and coated and crispy. So now we're going to be putting this into the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, but under the broiler. So make sure you keep an eye on it if your broiler is particularly hot. And then we're going to go ahead and show you the next steps when we come back. So our maple miso tofu has come out halfway through cooking. So we've been broiling it for about 10 minutes and it's gotten nice and crispy. So now it's time to flip it over and to crisp up the other side. That is exactly why we saved the rest of our marinade, because we want to make sure that both sides have all of that maple miso goodness on it. So this is going to go back under the broiler for another 8 to 10 minutes. Make sure that you're checking it periodically and rotating the baking sheet if the heat's uneven. Our maple miso tofu is all done and it is just bubbling away here on our cookie sheet. So I am going to go ahead and grab 2 of our tofu squares here. And we're going to pop them onto our plate, which I have with just a tiny bit of broccoli. Just, a little veg is always good. It's very sticky, so careful when it's super hot. And then for the last little garnish, we're going to add just a few sesame seeds. You could also put a little rice with this if you're looking to have a little bit of a more full, filling meal. But the tofu and the protein in it is going to give you a lot of that satisfaction already. And now, it's time to try it. Ooh, the outside gets all sticky. Oh, it's gonna be hot. Mmm. It's very hot, but it's also very delicious. The savoriness from the miso, but then that sweetness from the maple syrup almost creates a bit of a lacquer on the outside of our tofu when it broils, so it gets that nice sticky, sweet, really addictive flavor actually. This is a really great one if you're entertaining, if you're having friends over. It's also incredibly inexpensive. Thanks so much for checking out The Hot Plate. Make sure to check out this and all of our episodes every Tuesday here on YouTube, but also make sure to check out our updates on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thehotplate, and the recipe and measurements on our website, thehotplate.com. Thanks, guys.